So I just got off a call with one of my consulting clients, and she was having a little bit of a trouble with putting an offer together. Now, part of that is because there's so many different details that she could go to productizing the offer, and I showed her a better way to do it. So I used to find that I would try and do the same thing as what she was doing, which is to feel like I need to get all the details of the offer sorted before I could actually put it out to market. But that's not actually the case. In fact, hang on one second. In fact, there is a much easier way to make offers and put them out to the market without trying to get it all right from the start. Now, a large part of that is about creating what I call an expression of interest. Now, we've heard about expressions of interest before. That's not necessarily a new thing. But the key with this style of expression of interest is that you really only need 4 different steps to make sure that you're checking, is this something that the market wants? And so once I realized how to put these 4 steps in place, it just became a lot easier to put stuff out into the market. And what was cool about making offers is that once you start making offers, then people get used to you making offers, which means it enables you to make more offers because this is the way that you go about doing things. And in consulting in general, you tend to find that most people are not actually out there identifying what people want by making some expression of interest style offers, which is what I'm going to show you in just a second. But really, it's more around the how do we look at what tenders are available, what organizations can we pitch to, and all the things that really procrastinate the opportunity. Because people take up an opportunity when it is made available to them, when they're in that point of pain. So if you can present things to people where they're in a situation where they could absolutely use the help that you're providing, they're going to put their hand up and say yes. Now, you may think, well, in some cases, they're not always going to do that. In some cases, what's actually going to happen is that they're going to say that they don't have budget, or they don't have the funds now, and they can maybe do it in 6 months' time. But the reality is, if you make the right style of offer, then you can actually design the solution with them. And so I'm going to give you 4 steps on how to go about creating an offer. And when we do that, I just drive up the driveway. When we do that, I will write it on the board for you to play along. And so let's get into the studio so I can give you some of the detail. Now, the other thing with this too is that once you get those people buying in to what you've got available for them, well, they're going to make the business case to the business to enable you to actually get it across the line. You're not going to have to wait for budget. You're not going to have to wait for some sort of project brief. They will actually do the work with you, and then they will be your champion when they're actually taking it to the business. So instead of doing pitches and proposals and having to wait for those opportunities, you can make offers, expression of interest offers now, and actually get it out to market. Because if you make the expression of interest offer and no one wants it, then you know that there's no need to productize. If you actually go and make the expression of interest offer and no one wants it, then no one wants it, right? So it's only these 4 steps. Going to give you them on the board in a second. But the key with this is that if people do want it, then you'll take the time to actually work with them to design it out. If they don't want it, you don't have to build it. So what are the steps? Well, the key is knowing your market. So if you know your market, then you're going to be able to avoid the pitches and the process that goes around tender writing, and you can actually engage with people when you want to make an offer and say, here's a thing that I've got. Now, the first thing is, I've got a thing. So here's what I've got is a thing. Now, I don't care what that thing is. It could be I've got a checklist, I've got an idea, I've got a process, I have a program, I have whatever it is. And this is a really good thing to say when you go, all right, well, here's another piece of work that I've done. So I've just done a piece of work for someone is a thing. All right. So whatever the thing is, I've even said to some people like before, I've got a thing. Right? So even if you use the word thing, it still works. So I've got a thing. Here's what it does for you. So it does for you. So it's the result, right? So here's a thing, and actually we'll change that up. bear with me, people. So I've got a thing that does a result. All right, so here's what it does for you is almost always a result of some sort. Now, it could be it gives you a thing, or it helps you with a process, or helps you get an outcome, or helps you remove some painful symptom, some problem that they're experiencing. So I've got a thing that gets you a result. Here's how it does that. So here's the interesting thing. If you tell someone the specifics of how you're going to deliver something, they go into the frontal cortex of their brain and they start thinking, is that going to work? Right? They don't have your years, often decades of experience to actually fall back on to know if it's going to work. They're just going to go, based on my layman's assessment of the current situation, being stuck in the problem without being able to see the forest for the trees, would that work in my situation? Now, that's why we don't tell people specifically how, right? We tell them what, which is the steps that we will use to actually get them there. So your process might have 3, 5 steps, or whatever it might be. We can talk about the steps as being the how, but we don't get into the detail of, well, we're going to roll it out with these amount of hours, and we're going to roll it out with these specific staff members inside your team. We don't need to get to that level, and we definitely don't want to get to that level within an expression of interest. So I've got a thing that gets you a result. Here's what the steps are. In other words, this is how we do it, but these are the steps. And so the steps are what's. These are the steps that we're actually going to go through. So maybe it's 1, 2, and 3, and there's a process to that. Okay? So here's the steps. So we've got a thing that gives a result. This is how it does that. And here's how you can get it. So that's a call to action, and that call to action could be, so I've got a program that we just ran with a new client that helped them actually reduce the cost on productivity in this project area by 50%, which meant that they actually got this much saved in a specific job. The way we did that was by dirt, whatever that dirt and dirt is. Would you like to talk about maybe doing that in your business? Would you like to see how we could do that in your business? Would you like to discuss some next steps about what that might look like in your business? All right, so these are the calls to action. Now, if you're putting this on an email, you could say, I've got a thing that does a result. This is how we do it. Would you like it? If so, respond. All right, respond via usually the message format that you've just sent it through. So the call to action is, would you like to know more? Would you like some details? These are all great calls to action. And would you like details on a text message that you've just sent someone? They just have to respond with yes. And you go, well, let's have a conversation about that. 15-minute chat sometime over the next week. Now, interestingly, people get tied up in knots. And my client in this scenario was getting a little bit tied up in knots about, well, what are the specific steps? What are all the things that I need to do? Well, we don't have to have more than we've got step 1, step 2, step 3. Now, if you have real expertise in your business because you're a consultant who trades in expertise, then you will know what is 1, 2, and 3 steps to get a specific result. Right? So if you can't get results, this isn't the video for you. This is the video for those consultants who are outcome experts. They know how to get outcomes for people. And so if you know that, then you can at least write down a bullet-pointed list of the steps. Now, you can actually get away with doing an expression of interest without the steps. But the next question that comes out of the mouth of the person, if you said, I've got a thing that gets a result, would you like to know more? Which is actually a nice, simpler version of an expression of interest, is going to be, yes, but how would you do that? And so the steps are a necessary component, even if they're done in step 2, but we just want to have a bullet-pointed list. So if you're going to create an expression of interest, my advice to you, my suggestion would be, define the thing. Now, the thing doesn't have to have a complicated name. It can be, I have a process, I have a guide, I have a program, I've got a project that we did previously. And you might be thinking, well, I don't want to talk about previous client projects because there's privacy around that. We don't have to talk about specifics. We certainly don't need to talk about client names. Usually you can talk about the sector that you actually did it in, so there's some commonality to the discussion. But we don't need to get into the details. So here's a project that we did recently with a client. Don't have to say any more than that. Here's the result that we actually got. Would you be interested in talking more, or would you like to know more detail about that? And then the next step is the actual steps that might be involved. Now, Why do we need the steps? I don't think we necessarily need the steps, but what I found in my experience is if most smart consultants, which is the majority of the people I work with, the smart people in particular, are thinking, well, what happens when they respond? How am I going to respond to their response? So they're thinking about the future rather than thinking about the very simple step of making the offer. And so for you as the smart consultant, it's worth spending 5 minutes writing down the steps so you feel confident that you know how this is going to be implemented. Now, making these expression of interest style offers just leverages your time. You don't have to spend a lot of time productizing and guessing at what the market wants. Spend that time, instead of trying to productize, speaking with the market and identifying the things that they are having trouble with, the things that they want to go away, the things they want more of, the things they want less of, and then ideally use the language that they're using to share your expression of interest, right? So you can, if someone says, we're just having trouble getting team members in the business, we're trouble getting talent in the organization. And if you are a person who consults in the recruitment space, then you can say, well, would you like to solve that problem, right? And they will say yes. Or you can take that because you've heard a lot of people talk about it and you've gone back to your desk and you're going, what should I actually make an offer around? What's an expression of interest I can put out via email or via phone numbers or via text message? Well, you might go, well, a lot of people are talking about recruitment, so I've got a method that helps you actually get talent a lot easier and faster into your organization. We do it by doing this, this, and this. Would you be interested in the details? Great. All right, so you're out there talking to the market, you're listening to the symptomatic language that people are using, and then you're making expression of interest offers. This is not about trying to create a product. This is not about trying to create new services all the time and trying to create brochures and websites and all the rest to explain it to a person. Your point of sale as a consultant is your voice, right? You're having a conversation with somebody to actually get across the line. If you're using proposals to do the selling for you, you're missing out on so many opportunities for bigger sales, for deeper sales, for faster sales. It is so much easier to put an expression of interest out, and then when people raise their hand to say yes, they're interested in it, number one, you know that they're qualified. Number two, you can then actually go and speak to them and design it with them. So when you design an opportunity with somebody, it's far more likely they're going to say yes because they were involved in its design. And ideally, even if they aren't the decision maker, they become your champion for being the person to get it through to the decision maker within the organization. So expressions of interest are a really useful process for you to put into your business. It's what we recommend when people are building a select consultancy. And if you're not sure what a select consultancy is, well, where have you been? But a select consultancy is a consultancy which enables you to have at least $600,000 coming into your bank, and it enables you to work in less than 4 days a week. And there are so much more ways to save more time and make more money around that, but ideally you have a business where you get to be very selective about the time that you spend with people. You get selective about the type of clients that you work with because you have an abundance of clients in your business, because you're not just relying on referrals. You're doing things like expressions of interest and other light marketing activities to make sure that you've always got an abundance of opportunities. And finally, you get to select where you work from in the world, because we no longer have to work from an office. We no longer have to work from our client's office. We can actually work from wherever we want because we are a select consultant. And what's cool about that is that we have our outcome expertise, we have client flow, and we have built an authority brand. And if you're interested in doing any one of those three things, then we do that inside the Forge Business Program and inside the Consulting Guild. The Consulting Guild allows you to get a taste of what that's like, to get the education of how you can implement these things in your business. But if you are really hungry, if you actually want to accelerate your results, then you would join the Forge Business Program. My name is Russell Pearson. This has been episode 106 of the Your Consulting Business Podcast. If you haven't already, like the show, subscribe to the episode, or like the episode and subscribe to the show. And go to russellpearsonprograms.com because we've got a free resource there specifically for consulting businesses, and ideally that would be a business just like yours. Again, my name is Russell Pearson. Until next time, stay passionate, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.